Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We're just going to wait a few seconds more for people to join across a few different platforms, and then we'll kick off.
I think I'm going to get started, Mike, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Anne. Go for it.
So as Mike said, welcome everyone to the latest webinar from Logic+Magic. We're live on a few different platforms, StreamYard, YouTube and LinkedIn. So thank you all so much for joining us. Just wanted to start off by saying that this is a really quite timely time for us to be doing this webinar. Website migrations and rebuilds are something that we've been thinking a lot about recently, not just because we've been doing it for our clients, but because we've just been through it ourselves. So we've just recently rebranded from Lo and Behold to Logic+Magic. So on that note, please do bear with us if we accidentally call ourselves Lo and Behold over the next 40 minutes or so. So this webinar really is to help those of you who are in the same position as we've just been in, or if you might be in the future. So an introduction to us. So I'm Leanne. I'm head of SEO here at Logic+Magic. I've got over a decade of experience in search engine optimization across many different industries and business types. And alongside that, have experienced many different updates and changes to the search engine landscape during that time. Today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and considerations on making sure that your organic traffic is considered during any kind of migration. And presenting with me today is Mike. So hello, Mike.
Hi, Leanne. Thank you very much. My name is Mike Van Rooyen. I'm the Software Services Director at Logic+Magic. And I've got 20 years experience working in integrated agencies, both as part of development teams as well as leading them. Throughout that time, like Leanne, I've worked on hundreds of site redevelopments and launches across a variety of different platforms and on different types of websites, from marketing sites through to global e-commerce solutions. So I'm here today just to give a technical perspective on the role of developers within SEO. So today's topic is how not to fall off Google with your new website. And over the next 45 minutes, that's going to mean we're going to be discussing the essential steps that you need to take to maintain your search rankings and organic traffic after launching a redesigned, replatformed, or rebuilt web presence. Whether you've recently undergone a website transformation or are planning one in the near future, it's crucial to understand that the work doesn't stop there. In fact, the process of preserving and even enhancing your online presence begins before and continues long after the launch date. So join us as we explore proven strategies for minimizing potential setbacks, maximizing your website's performance, and ensuring a successful transition to your new digital home. Over the next 45 minutes, we're going to run through some of the possible issues that you might discover if you don't include an element of SEO when developing your new website. We'll find out what a real SEO expert delivers during a build and how SEO is an ongoing activity rather than just a one-off. Finally, we'll see how specialists collaborating throughout a project are going to deliver the best possible outcome for you rather than if they were working in separate silos. As a bonus, at the end of the webinar, we'll tell you how you can win 1 hour of free SEO consultancy from Logic+Magic. So let's get started.
Thanks, Mike. So I'd like to kind of start off with what happens when you're deciding on a rebuild to rebuild your website. Just because I've heard so many times in my career from different clients, from stakeholders, that they're really looking forward to their new website as it will help their SEO and that the website will improve their website traffic. But when I've asked further, they've actually said that no SEO specialist is going to be involved in the process, which sort of breaks my heart a little bit if you're investing so much into a new website build and you've got hopes that it's automatically going to make your traffic skyrocket. It's just a bit of a pipe dream sometimes without having that SEO mindset on, as much as development does look at a lot of things that are going to really be positive within that. So that being said, without specialist support, does the building of a new website on its own actually improve SEO? So does a new website guarantee success? If I could just set the scene for a minute. So you've worked hard for years building your brand. You've added loads of high quality, great traffic to your website. You've got a real steady stream of traffic going to that website. And alongside that, a really nice, steady stream of leads that we all like, and it's what we all need at the end of the day. So then you decide to invest in a new, fresh website. Just like all of these on the slide have done at some point in time. As an aside, I do suggest, if you've got any spare time, going on archive.org and looking at some of the absolutely incredible websites that we used to have. Apologies. So that website looks absolutely great. It's really easy for you to update. It's modern. And the important thing is that your board are thrilled and they're happy with you to go forth and publish your website. And then despite all of the work that your user experience designers did, your leads have reduced. And then when you look into it a little bit further, your traffic has also reduced. And then as it turns out, organic search played a huge part in driving relevant traffic to your website. So you complain to your development team, but they've actually done nothing wrong because they've built you a wonderful website that hits your brief. So Mike, how come the traffic to that website might have reduced?
Well, Leanne, you're definitely right. Your developers probably have done an excellent job in creating your new website, because that's what we do. However, they might not be fully versed in the complexities of SEO and its impact on search visibility. Consequently, they could have inadvertently introduced several issues during the redevelopment process, particularly if no proper SEO migration plan is being put in place. In cases like this, we would expect to see duplicate content being introduced to the site. So if not handled correctly during a redesign, identical content can be added to your site across different URLs. This can negatively impact search engine rankings, as they might penalize you for having redundant information across multiple pages. Updating a website could mean changes to URL structures or the deletion of pages with high authority. This can lead to a loss of valuable backlinks and domain authority, which impacts your overall search performance. Whilst updating information architecture is often essential for optimizing your user journeys, failing to implement a proper migration plan can result in orphan pages and possibly the loss of link equity. During a redesign process, critical backlinks might be lost due to broken redirects or incorrect URL changes, and again is going to result in a decrease in your organic traffic. The new website design could lead to slower page load times that negatively impacts your user experience, as well as failing to meet search engine performance metrics. You might eliminate popular content without proper planning. This can lead to a decline in engagement from your users and general organic traffic, since people might struggle to find relevant information on your site. And as well, improper handling of metadata during the migration might also result in decreased visibility in search because of missing or incorrect title tags, meta descriptions, and headings as well. And then finally, if your XML sitemap's not been updated after the redesign, or if it's not properly submitted to search engines, important pages might not be indexed, and again, leading to a decrease in traffic. So unfortunately, I could probably list many more ways in which a migration could go wrong, and all significantly can impact your search visibility and the traffic that you get. There is one area, however, which is probably more impactful than all of these examples combined. So in a bit more detail, let's explore the consequences of 404 errors. And now, depending on where you hang out, you might have heard people talking about 404 errors or even experienced them yourself whilst browsing the web. But what does that actually mean for a search engine migration? Well, when a web browser requests a resource from a server that hosts a domain, it can return a number of different response codes to help the browser know the best way to handle the reply. Resources which can be served with no issues return a 200 response code, which means everything's okay. If the servers come across a problem generating the response, a 500 error is sent back, and a 404 response is returned when the server can't find the requested resource and it can't really help anymore. Though it's a perfectly valid response in some cases, in terms of search engine optimization during a migration, an increase in 404 errors can indicate lost content from your site, issues with your information architecture, or maybe even deeper problems with your application. A 404 is essentially a dead end to the user, which they themselves then have to work out how to recover from and decide what to do next. So during Logic and Magic's recent rebranding exercise, we changed our main domain. The domain was indexed in Google search and ranked really well for our chosen keywords. However, our new brand used a brand new, entirely different domain name. If we hadn't considered an SEO strategy or customer experience during the migration, which of course we did, potential customers might still find us in search via old links and end up on our old website or encounter a 404 page on our new one. Visitors then might not find themselves in their intended location, leading to lost sales opportunities, declining organic traffic as they'd likely move on to another business. Search engines like Google, of course, would be unable to efficiently crawl the new site and find related content through the old URLs. This means we're going to be starting to build our search reputation from scratch instead of benefiting from the authority which we'd already built up over time. So even if your content exists on your new site under a different URL, it becomes lost if it can't be found by search engines or potential customers. The impression left behind can impact your brand negatively, both in terms of declining traffic and potentially through bad reviews and social media commentary. The authority you've built up over time and your visitors can simply vanish. But luckily, there are ways that you can help customers and search engines find your relocated content, which Leanne is going to talk about a little bit later. But another important consideration during a migration is your site's new page structure. Without proper consideration, reworking the information architecture of your site could move popular pages further down the hierarchy. This increase in steps required before users access the pages that they want effectively deprioritizes it in the eyes of search engine bots, making it less relevant to people searching. The way you present and engage users with your content, or the order of importance and how it's indexed, will be directly reflected in search engine results and therefore impact your inbound traffic. But it's not just your content which might be viewed differently by search engines. It's essential to remember that subtle changes in HTML markup on page can significantly impact how search engines index your content. Some of the problems which can be introduced by redesigning your pages might include the misuse of HTML headings or incorrectly tagging your content. This can negatively impact on how search engines perceive and rank the information. An over-reliance on images instead of text content to convey your message might overlook opportunities for keyword optimization and make it harder for crawlers to extract essential details. This also affects accessibility and could lead to suboptimal indexing and overall site performance. And then finally, over-stylized designs might impact on how search engines interpret the content and rank it accordingly, if semantic HTML can't be used to realize the creative vision. We should also note that content management systems have become the go-to choice for businesses seeking full control over their website's content. They offer a cost-effective and efficient solution by enabling non-technical users who are often in-house to create, update, and manage content through user-friendly admin interfaces. However, it can be a surprise for some that by having full control over a website does come with some responsibilities around populating and optimizing your content for search engines. We've seen how changing URLs and ignoring metadata or using the wrong markup can impact your position in search. So it's crucial that site administrators are aware of these considerations in order to maintain your site's visibility and still attract inbound traffic. So we've seen how both significant and more subtle changes can have impacts on your search visibility, and how it's more than likely that a project that's focused solely on the re-platform or redevelopment of the website with no thought to managing the migration from old to new will result in a drop in organic traffic. Decisions made at the very outset of your project will all impact the ability of your site to recover its organic search performance quickly, and the inevitable risks taken during the upgrade need to be mitigated properly. As a minimum, before embarking on that redesign project, businesses need to know where they get their current traffic from, either as search engines, backlinks, or direct traffic. Have a full picture of their existing content, where gaps exist, and how to prioritize top performing pages. And also have a plan to direct traffic from old URLs to new locations. And finally, to make sure that they keep an eye on page performance, both tracking visitor numbers and conversions, as well as speed and other technical metrics. Because of all this change throughout the different phases of a rebuild project, SEO needs to be a constant consideration. You might be asking why developers don't put things in place to manage all this risk as part of their process. It's important to recognize that although SEO practitioners and developers work on the same projects, they operate within their very own different specialisms, with only a little crossover in detailed knowledge. As we'll see later, they share similarities of how they view a good website, but because the impact on a business can be so great, the detail of managing a migration shouldn't be a secondary priority to the development team. It should be the dedicated task of an SEO expert. We all know how important it is to rank well on search engine results. The difference between difference in traffic between the top few results and those further down the page is huge. But just for fun, we wondered if you knew how many searches are performed on Google each day, and as a comparison, whether or not there is more or less than the number of Lego bricks that are made. So in the comments, if you think there are more Google searches, put an A in. And if you think there are more Lego bricks, please put a B in the comments. And just for an extra bit of fun, please try and have a guess at how many you think there are. And as a little tip, I think the numbers are quite large. Leanne, when I saw the answer to this, I was quite shocked at the numbers that we were talking about.
Shocked by the number of Lego bricks?
Both.
Or the number of searches?
Both.
Did you know, Mike, that Lego are actually the world's biggest tyre manufacturer?
I did not know that, really.
The tidbits that you find when you're preparing a webinar.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got some answers coming in. So Dan Irvine thinks that there are more searches and there are about 800 billion, yes, searches per day. That seems quite a lot. And Matt Chop thinks it's a billion as well, billion searches. So there's a lot of A's coming in. So not Jeremy Kelly thinks it's Lego bricks. Jeremy, how many do you think Lego bricks are built in a day? Everyone's going for search. I think they've read the room. We know what the answer is going to be. So people out of their misery.
Yeah, everyone who said A, please, pat yourselves on the back. There are actually 8.5 billion searches per day and only 100 million Lego bricks made. I think there's something like 86 Lego bricks that exist for each person on the planet, which is just a strange number, staggering really. But the point of us doing that wasn't just so that we could talk about Lego for 40 seconds or a minute, however long we were. It was just that it's just such an unfathomably large number, the amount of searches there are per day. And when you consider, I think it's roughly 15% of all of those searches are brand new, so they've never been searched before. And Google is just, and searching is just such a huge part of our lives. It's a huge part of our customers' lives as well. So it's just so really important that you stay in competitive and visible, especially during a website migration. So we now have just a couple of examples of when migrations go wrong. So the first one here is from a financial company who did a website restructure and rebuild back in March of 2019, so quite a while ago. And you can see here where their traffic it wasn't on a completely upward approach, but it was kind of at the peak of where their traffic had gotten up to. And then the website was migrated. There wasn't any real kind of SEO checklist in place, and the website got put live with it being on set to no index, which as quickly as that was fixed, as you can see here, it took a very, very long time for that traffic to figure out again where it was going. So it's just a really good example of how careful you need to be really, and how many moving parts there are to a migration, that even if you have everything set up at the beginning, that it can still potentially really impact your traffic levels. And just to note that these graphs are from Ahrefs, so it's not spot on numbers wise, but it gives us a really good idea of the kind of traffic trajectory, shall we say. And then Mike has another interesting example for us.
Yep, absolutely. So this example shows how a major change to the website of a leading hardware e-commerce store has really impacted their organic traffic. Around the time of the decline, most sites were switching from insecure URLs to secure ones, as it became an important metric for search algorithms. As it's a structural change to the domain, it required a migration plan. So the reason why this became a problem for the business wasn't through a lack of redirect, but in fact, too many. Changing from HTTP to secure URLs introduced very long redirect chains. And because of the number of steps and time it took for the crawlers to get to the final page destination, their crawl budget actually had expired. And they were really heavily penalized for it. You can see where the drop in organic traffic was triggered. On the graph, you can see that drop. And then probably most interestingly is how they've never really quite, well, they haven't recovered their organic traffic ever since. And that's over a span of sort of 7 or 8 years now.
Apologies, Mike.
So what we can see from those examples is that search engines are very sensitive to change across your whole website. If something prevents them from finding correct content on your site, then you will be penalized, and it can be brutal. The impact of a bad migration can last for a long time, and in a competitive economy, can you really afford the risk of leaving SEO to chance? So what can we do to mitigate the drop? Let's take a look at what can be done to stop you falling off Google. In an earlier slide, I mentioned that it's unrealistic to expect your development team to create a comprehensive and thorough SEO migration plan as part of their standard deliverables. However, through their commitment to implementing industry standards in quality, they will naturally support several essential SEO requirements. The alignment comes from the fact that both developers and SEO experts share a common interest in key metrics, but approach them from very different perspectives. So what should you expect from your developer when it comes to addressing some of the fundamental SEO needs? Well, developers should create well-structured, semantically correct, and cleanly written HTML code that search engines can easily read and index. They should create rational, user-friendly, and search engine-friendly URL structures, making it easier for both users and bots to navigate your website. Developers will focus on optimizing site performance by minimizing loading times, reducing image sizes, compressing files, and utilizing effective caching strategies, all of which are crucial factors for SEO success. Your developer will ensure your site is responsive, providing an optimal user experience across various different site devices and screen sizes. And this not only benefits users, but also helps maintain search rankings on mobile platforms. Developers can make sure that search engines will access, parse, and index your website effectively by implementing correct headers and XML sitemaps. So although developers might not be responsible for the extensive planning and execution of an SEO plan, their adherence to industry best practice naturally lays a solid foundation for meeting essential SEO requirements. But alone, Leanne, is that going to be enough to save your rankings?
Well, thanks, Mike. It's incredibly, incredibly important. You absolutely cannot build a house on sand. And actually, as Mike mentioned then, everything that development would look at without SEO being involved In turn, it supports user experience, and therefore it would not be a bad thing whatsoever towards your organic search traffic. So we just wanted to point out now what you should actually expect from SEO during a migration process. There's sometimes a bit of confusion around what would be included during a kind of a migration or a rebuild project versus what you'd expect from kind of ongoing SEO work. So the approach to kind of migration would be benchmarking performance. It'd be defining the high priority pages across the website and making a plan that those pages are protected at all costs during the process. Your SEO team would map redirections as well. So I hope I'm not being unfair by saying this, Mike, but a lot of the time development will kind of do a wide brushstroke on redirects from one website to another, whereas you should expect from your SEO practitioner that they are looking at the kind of the content and understanding more the semantics around the kind of authority that page A has, and making sure that it gets sent over to its new home at page B. Your SEO practitioner should also be reviewing your staging templates and your staging site in the, like Mike mentioned before, even your CMS, making sure that everything is there from a content creator perspective that they'd need once the website is live. They would also look at reviewing the internal linking to make sure that all pages that used to have internal links still have them, making sure they're still relevant, and making sure that any are added for go live as needed. They'd also do live checks on launch as well. Personally, I think it's worth having an SEO eye on your new website for at least 2 weeks if you're not going to be having ongoing SEO work from that person or company or team, because they can take a look at any pages that have drops in traffic and make a quick plan to mitigate that drop. And then importantly, they'd also do kind of search accessibility checks as well. So just quite honestly, just making sure that search engines can actually crawl and visit your website and your new pages. And I won't go through the ongoing SEO work too much here, but you'd expect, audits, ongoing optimizations, ongoing monitoring and reporting from if you were to have ongoing SEO work versus migration project. So the result of a good migration really is that the traffic drops are, like I said before, mitigated. It's not necessarily the job of your SEO team during the migration to optimize or to with the aim of growing your traffic. As such, the purpose of getting SEO involved is that any of the drops that, unfortunately, there will be a bit of a decrease in traffic at any migration. The job of your SEO is to mitigate that, the amount of that drop as much as possible. And it's also their job to make sure that you have a really good base for traffic growth. So when Mike mentioned earlier on the kind of the structure of the website, how I mentioned about making sure there's the right internal links and that the CMS is really well set up going forward, that's all really important from an SEO perspective during a migration, particularly if it is a one with a CMS update or upgrade. Really importantly, your new website should have a good user experience, ideally better than your old website as well. And it should be safer. So especially if you're e-commerce or if you have any kind of login or anyone has to pay for anything on your website, you want to make sure that it's safer. It should be easier to update for your team. Like I mentioned earlier on, there's no point in moving from a CMS that the ongoing content or updating team are familiar with and comfortable with. If you then move them to a more difficult CMS, then that's just going to cause problems later on down the line. And really importantly, it should lead to happier customers who are visiting your website, having a good time while they're there, and hopefully converting in some way. So we wanted to go into a couple of what I would say are more positive migration stories. And this is one that this website here was migrated last March time. And it was a really interesting migration where there was multiple websites that all had very much the same, very much had a lot of duplicated content. And we needed to merge all of that content into one website. So that's why there is quite a nice uplift in the traffic, because all of the traffic that was going to other websites was then being merged into this one, which was housing rights. And it meant then that there's much better user experience on that website. The content was all much better because it wasn't split out across all different websites. And it was just, as you can see here, just quite a nice migration. And then there is one more as well. And this is for a website called Aquaparks, which is a group of like water inflatable kind of theme park, so to speak. And their migration was a restructure process on the same domain, but restructuring pretty much their entire website. And you can see here where the migration was, where the green arrow is, and there was a slight decrease in their organic traffic just for the month or two after, but then it's gone up on like quite a nice trajectory again there. And this, we even removed kind of a lot of unnecessary content from this website. It's like really older blogs and things like that. And I think it just goes to show that when it comes to content and website pages, it's definitely quality over quantity. So then to summarize, development and SEO want to achieve the same goals, but they look after different things. And both teams want your website to be easy to navigate, they want it to be safe, and they want it to be friendly for your users and customers. But it is not the job of development to look after your organic search performance. And a positive website migration or rebuild doesn't necessarily mean an instant improvement in traffic. And it's always a good idea to include SEO from the outset of any new website build. And then over to you, Mike, to discuss One Team, One Dream.
Yeah, sounds a little bit cheesy. But when SEO and development teams collaborate effectively and they maintain open communication throughout a website redesign project, great things can happen. We're able to define and set SEO requirements at the beginning of a project, ensure they're integrated into the development process from start to finish. The knowledge sharing between teams leads to a more robust and well-implemented technical SEO strategy that benefits both users and search engines. The parallel workflows enable teams to focus on their respective areas of expertise, reducing the time taken overall to build and launch your website. Effective collaboration enables teams to address new features and potential SEO impacts proactively and respond swiftly to search engine algorithm updates. Both teams can concentrate on refining their area of expertise, resulting in a superior website that meets user needs whilst remaining optimized for search engines. By working together, SEO and development teams help mitigate potential issues during the redesign process, ensuring a successful launch that maintains your business's reputation and customer loyalty. And the partnership between the teams sets the stage for ongoing optimization and the continuous improvement of your website and adapt to the ever-changing digital landscape. So that just about wraps it up today. So thank you for listening and taking part in our webinar. We hope you found it really useful, and we very much appreciate your time. In today's digital world, your website plays a crucial role in driving the growth and success of your business. When redesigning or replatforming your site, it's essential to prioritize search engine optimization from the very beginning. And as we've demonstrated, neglecting this critical aspect can lead to lost opportunities, decreased traffic, and potential damage to your online reputation. By integrating SEO into your website redesign, you will set the foundation for long-term success and maximize the potential of your new site to drive growth, increase brand awareness, and retain customer loyalty. Remember, in the fast-paced world, staying competitive requires ongoing optimization, and a partnership between SEO and development teams is essential to keep your business ahead of the curve. So, Leanne, I think you've got a competition or a special offer really for people to benefit from.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So there will be a follow-up email coming out over the next couple of days to thank everyone for attending today and sharing your Wednesday afternoon with us. Within that email, there will be details of how one person could win an hour's free SEO consultancy that will be with me. And basically, I think it's the first person who responds saying that they would like that free consultation who will be able to make the most out of that. However, we usually would kick off SEO projects with an audit or at least some research. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to get in touch. And if you'd like to hear about our future webinars, there is a QR code here. You can head over to our website, sign up to our newsletter, and you'll be the first to hear about those webinars. Our next one coming up is, I think, in April, and it's all about strategy. So yeah, hope to see you there. And I think we have time for a Q&A, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope for everyone that's attended, we've covered at least some of the topics that you were hoping to hear from us today. But if you have any questions or you'd like us to expand on any of the points or quizzes more generally about SEO or development, please pop the question in the comment. And then I think whilst we're waiting for those to come in, Leanne, I've got one question for you. I think we've seen that a drop in organic traffic is almost inevitable after people have redeveloped their new website, and it's going to take a little while to recover. Is there anything that can be done in the very short term to encourage traffic through other means?
So I think first off the bat, that's why it's really important to monitor afterwards so that any of those drops can be seen straight away and fixed, so that the traffic is not the traffic drop is not an issue. I would also suggest doing these at a time that is not business critical, and if you have the funds and the budget and the know-how to do so, I am not opposed to utilizing PPC, so paid for ads, especially on those really core business keywords, that if you were to have a drop on those, it would cause be real business critical. Yeah, so that's probably how I'd answer that one.
I noticed on LinkedIn, Felicity was very quick to get a question in, but again, it's for you, Leanne. Felicity asks, what paid tools you'd recommend for tracking keywords or website SEO performance?
Ooh, interesting. There's so many out there now that you literally can pick and choose within whatever budget you have. I'm a really big fan of SEMrush. Ahrefs are really good to have kind of a good audit, kind of play it in the background so that you can do some of your keyword research in there. They're very much a one-stop shop. I personally wouldn't be without Screaming Frog as well. I know it's not necessarily a tracking tool, but it's very, very worth having. And then also I think if you have the know-how as well, there's so much data available on your website's performance from things like Google Search Console, Bing Webmaster Tools, and your own analytics as well. So if you have the know-how to put that into your own dashboard, or you can use something like Looker Studio, or I promise this is not sponsored by Google Tools, by the way, then I think that's also great for tracking your own performance. You've got full control over what you've got as well. But yeah, thank you, Felicity, for that one. So Mike, there is one that's come in over here. That what's the most important thing for my development team to focus on to help search visibility whilst they're building my new site?
That's a good question, because I think it's so varied. You know, everything I think has quite small impacts, but collectively they make a big difference. I think if I was to pick one, I would focus on page performance and page speed, because we know how that really affects how users engage with your website and how they experience and essentially try and spend their money with you. So by being able to give them a really good experience on page and fast loading times and being able to sort of get around your site without any hindrance, and as well because that benefits search engine rankings, and we know through the tools like Google Lighthouse or Page Speed Insights that time to first byte, interactive load points and things like that are really a hot topic for them, and optimizing for that will see an increase in your rankings based off that.
No, definitely.
So I think that's possibly all the time we've really got this afternoon. We've used our 45 minutes up, I think. So thank you so much for attending. And once again, if you have any questions for myself or Leanne about development or SEO at Logic+Magic, please drop us an email. Our email address is on the screen, and we're happy to talk to you about your next opportunity, your next project, or any problems that you might be facing. So once again, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.